guys, and welcome back to the final week of the summer block party Staycation 2025. And hopefully you've heeded my advice these last 4 weeks and have stayed home. Number one, it's too hot. It's too hot for campfire tales. It's too hot for going to summer camp. Especially around Mad Mars's woods. It's definitely not. It's definitely too weird to go cross country road tripping in an RV with your friend and like couples. And this week we round out the end of summer about why you shouldn't stay at low rent motels, because we're talking about 2007's Vacancy. Directed by Nimrod Antal, who would go on to direct kind of underrated Predators and several episodes of what's the show he directed? Stranger Things? Yes. And starring Kate. Well, okay. Before we get into who's in this movie, let's discuss this right now. This movie is cast insane. Okay. Because you have like Kate Beckinsale at like the pinnacle of the Underworld franchise, and then you have like old school's or Luke Wilson, not even Owen Wilson, who has done some horror from time to time. I would not recommend The Haunting, but I will definitely recommend him in Anaconda. And they're just an angry couple. They're not getting along. Like, divorce is on the horizon. Decide to stop at this cheap motel. And oops-a-doodle, it's the home of a snuff ring. So it's like an American Hostel. And I'll tell you, I've stayed at some roadside motels. Because they go into the room and find out they see it's their videotapes on their TV of their room where people are being dispatched, and that's not the worst thing you'll find on a motel television. Not by a long shot. But it really becomes we're trapped in here, but we're actually smart, and we actually kind of like don't freak out in the moment, and so they're able to thwart these snuffers. They snuffed out the snuffers one by one. And there's not a lot to break down here. It's a movie. I will say this, though. This movie is clearly, from every aspect, from the way it's shot, the way it's edited, the music, the look, the color grading, everything. This is a post-Saw film. What it does differently, and to me, I think what it does that makes it better than most of these like post-Saw movies, but also, unfortunately, it's a two-edged sword because it also makes it forgettable for most people who enjoy this type of horror, is it's very smartly subdued with the gory violence. You see the things happening in the films, but it's also it's shot in a way. You see the lead up to it on the television, and then much like a movie or movies that do this great, like Sinister or 8mm is really the big one. So much of the horror and the grotesqueness of the acts are played out on the actors' faces to where you in your mind see far worse than what you could see in the movie. And that's done very well, but as a movie like this that was coming out in the wakes of things like Wolf Creek and Hostel and Touristas, because it kind of does that smartly and kind of doesn't give you all that right up front, it got lost in the shuffle because people wanted to see all the ooey gooey. It is weird that also this movie kind of ends stupid. Luke Wilson, they go to escape. He, like, ridiculously gets stabbed, and you're like, oh, it's like Ethan Hawke in The Purge. Like, he's just out of the movie. And then Kate Beckinsale takes out the remainder of the snuffers, including like the head head snuffleupagus, by accident because women drivers, am I right? Um, and you're like, oh well, she lives, and then she goes to like grieve over because they've reconciled. They've realized by almost being murdered together how much they still love each other. She goes to grieve over his body, and no, he's okay, he's fine. And then they just kind of get in their car and go away. And again, it just, unlike most of those movies, kind of does not have a weird dark ending like they do. But it plays weird because the movie, it's a movie where the ending is almost too happy ending-ish. Especially, like I said, you want these guys, these criminals, to get their comeuppance. But they're kind of like accidentally slapstick to death. I don't know. It's really weird. But it is a movie that I think really should be revisited because in a sea of just really gross, over the top, no likable characters, no plot, just show me that gore that horror was in the mid to late aughts, is a movie that, while having a lot of flaws, was able to kind of rise above it with better filmmaking. But it's, in a weird, ironic twist, is docked because it's kind of forgettable. But most importantly, I guess I forgot to mention the motel set. It's fine. It looks like if you watched like more than an episode of Supernatural, it's just that motel room, just paneling, and like there's like a weird ugly green color in that bathroom, and like there's an ice machine, but it's broken. And they say free HBO, but you don't get HBO. It reminds me of us one year going to Texas Frightmare for a horror con. Us going into our hotel room and being like, oh, well, the air conditioner works, but the lights and the TV don't come on. Only to find that when we pulled the dresser off from the wall, everything was plugged into an extension cord that was then running into the wall. I'm assuming to the room next door. I have no idea. But it was $30 a night. So, you can save a little money and not stay at the Westin, but you might find yourself in a snuff film. So it's weird. It's a weird dichotomy. But the point is, none of that matters if you stay home. Stay home. Summer's almost over. School should be starting or has started. There's no reason to go anywhere. There's school now. So, hopefully you took my advice and you decided to just stay indoors this summer. There's air conditioning. There's fun horror movies to talk about that tell you, no. Stay inside. So, I hope you did. And thank you all for joining me for our Staycation 2025 summer block party here at the Movie Club Emporium. Make sure, if you enjoyed our time together, that you do all the things YouTube requires me to ask you to do. Like and subscribe and share. Now that the summer's over, we're right back to our regularly scheduled programs. The plan is to jump back into, hopefully to see the fourth and final Conjuring movie next week. The last one was a courtroom drama, so I can't imagine what we're going out on. Based on the trailers, it's gonna be something. You might even try to sneak in the Toxic Avenger if it gets around here. You never know. Don't forget also, Nick has his other reviews. They go up. Our new reviews, my reviews, go up every Sunday. Nick's reviews are going up on Wednesdays. Post theater clarity. Nick gives you the hottest, freshest takes straight out of the theater. So you don't want to miss those. And then our next live that we're doing for September, we're talking about the Sony Spider-Man less Spider-Man verse. And we're reviewing all of those. And I've only ever seen one of them, the first Venom. So I'm sure I'm in for a treat. But until then, the summer block party, I hereby close and adjourn. I bought this at Goodwill. My wife is not a fan. See you guys next week. Bye.